wrong hiring leads to almost $500 billion of wastage every single year in American corporate system alone. That's a huge number. CVs are the biggest fiction books in the world. Everyone lies on their CVs. The question is, how do you recognize true value? People are scared of leaving their comfort zones.
But maybe right or wrong doesn't matter, right?
So there's no right or wrong. But you cannot be an employee, you cannot be a 9 to 5 worker. It will not work. You have to have an entrepreneurial mindset, leadership mindset. You get unfair advantage by creating extreme sense of ownership, add value, produce results, get revenue, make profits, say yes to everything, slog through it, fall off the cliff, and you develop wings on the way. Make the company so dependent on you that the company has to escalate you. Employee mindset is I need to do the bare minimum to sustain and then do everything to create politics, negativity, and be in the ecosystem. That is not the right mindset. भैया जब रिकॉर्डिंग चालू होने तो मेरे को बता और
वो बाद में कट जाएगा. Hi, I'm Vaibhav Vardhan, co-founder and CEO of Inc42. Welcome to the 80/20 podcast. For today's episode, I have Ritesh Malik with me. So 10 years back, we used to graduate from colleges. Aspiration was to work in corporates, right? It can be the Infosys and the Wipros and the Mahindras and Googles of the world, maybe, right? And then came a time where people said, no, I don't want to be a cog in the wheel. That was a whole layer of this discussion going on, right? And what impact are you creating? What purpose? Internet came into our lives. We all, got exposed. And then we all said, let's all go to the startup ecosystem. Innovation is happening here. Digital revolution is here. And then people started joining that. And 10 years down the line, I see still all of us, lot of us are still the cog in the wheel now in a startup. We're still caught up in a middle layer. When I say middle layer, it's not a bad thing or a good thing, but hum to have purpose, impact, we are here to create that, right? So a 7-year, 5-year WorkX guy is like doing 9 to 9 instead of 9 to 5. So how should one change their mindset from a corporate to a startup when they come into the startup world, digital world? How should they change their mindset? And what does IC manager and leader means in today's world?
See, first of all, one thing which is very important is the first mindset that needs to be changed is that there is no job.
Very interesting.
This job as a concept was innovated close to 150 years back. And the reason this was innovated was that mining workers used to work 24 hours. To control that, there was a policy in the US that came in that said कि यार आपको सुबह 9 से लेके 5 बजे तक ही काम करना है. आज के दिन में आप क्या काम करते हो that is way more important than आप कितना काम कर रहे हो. And I think when it comes to IC, to manager, to leader, the fundamental first principle is value addition. Whatever you do, you have to add value to your role. Unfortunately, a lot of young people that I meet, they are chasing the byproducts.
Very interesting. Please explain.
They always tell me कि यार हमें है ना स्टार्टअप करना है बिकॉज हमें फेम चाहिए, हमें कैपिटल रेस करना है. मैंने कहा ये सब कुछ है ना बाय प्रोडक्ट है. स्टार्टअप का फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल है वो एक ही है एंड दैट इज आपका कस्टमर आपके पास रिपीटेडली आए और आपके प्रोडक्ट से इतनी चाहत करे दैट ही गेट्स all his friends and family members to you and says that this is the product that you need to buy. And if that starts happening, magic happens. So baki kya hai na, capital will chase attention. My focus to everyone who wants to start their life in general is create attention. This is a beautiful concept. Attention का क्या मतलब है? काम ऐसा करो कि लोग ना आपको अटेंशन देने लग जाए एंड जेन्युइनली कोई काम छोटा नहीं. You do one work but you do it so well that people start paying attention, and the moment attention comes, managers start recognizing you. The moment attention comes, leaders start recognizing managers. The moment attention comes, boards start recognizing leaders and they hire growth. And growth का ना एक ही तरीका है. create attention by creating passion in your work. Now, how do you create effortless work where people just chase you? And life का principle है 20% of talent in the world. And I'm glad that you're calling this the 80-20 podcast. It's such a beautiful name. ये ना first principle है 20% of all hard work leads to 80% of all the results. ये ना बहुत simple है. And your focus should be to focus on what are those 20% works. A lot of people are working really hard, but
Yep.
not focusing on those 20% work. करना क्या है, that is very more important than कितनी देर करना है.
No, when I talk to a 5 year into marketing guy who's a manager marketing in any company, so that person is saying, boss, I hear you. Great. Good to know. Neither I'm the founder, nor I have the equity. So for me, what is my growth path? I'm coming at 9 a.m., going at 9 p.m. How do I increase my 30% appraisal? That is mostly where the people are playing rather than thinking ki 7 years down the line, 10 years down the line, what will happen if they start acting in a certain way? Because they are seeing wealth is very far away. If they related with wealth as one of the key parameters. So because you've worked with people and innovate, right? And I've known some of them, uh, and they come from very humble backgrounds. And I would say they were great people, but they were not expert in the domains when you brought them, right? They know some of design, some of operations, but you said no, this is the team which will build innovate. And I was very skeptic, and I've spoken to you about this in early days also, sir. How? Like, this is a very naive team of people, right? They're good people, but they're naive and not very hard skill coded. But you still went ahead, you build innovate with them, most of them, you sold innovate. How did you turn around that one? That was an interesting thing for us.
Example, our chief of design, Sheen, he was our rejected intern. When I spoke to him, his skill was like almost zero. And I said, dude, like, didn't you study at Pearl? One thing that he did that night was he sent me an email. He said, sir, I agree. I don't want to work for money. I just want to work with you. And I can tell you one thing. I have 24 hours in my day. Those 24 hours are yours. You will tell me what has to be done. I will do everything in my power to get that done. That email. Immediately next day, I called him and I said that, okay, let's hire you as our design intern. Eventually, he became the chief of design of Innovate. And like Innovate chief of design is an important role because design was a very important function at Innovate. So the idea for me is that high integrity people, high build people will change the world. You need pure brute force to create action in a startup. I have this framework. When you have to hire someone who has to work in the headquarters, I look at, and this is a framework that I have built, which is the IWS framework: integrity, will, and skill. For me, integrity is a first principle. For anyone who has to work near me, I can compromise on skill, but not integrity. Integrity is something which is extremely important, and integrity with will win the world.
Hmm.
Because in today's world where knowledge is democratized, access to skill is so easy today that within 6 months you can be champion of AI.
Yeah.
And in this kind of a world, see, 20 years back, because information was not at all democratized,
And hence, skill was more important.
absolutely. Today, will, because if you don't have the will, you will never be able to gain new skills. As a marketer, what you need to be a great marketer today is very different from what you will need in the next 5 years. World is changing, social media platforms are changing. Like 10 years back, TikTok was not even on the list of marketers. Today, TikTok is amongst the 3 most important investments for brands. The idea is you need to change consistently, and you will not change until you have the will. Now, on integrity, my thesis is anyone who has to work with me, I need to have people with high integrity. And I'll tell you the reason behind that. Some of the biggest PR massacres happen when founders hire low integrity people. They're the first ones who will leak to media. They're the first ones who will leave the ship when waters get choppy. People with low integrity will keep on moving the ball. What they will do is the moment they get an offer which is even slightly higher, they will immediately, if the shit hits the fan, they will be the ones leaving the room ASAP. We need people when shit hits the fan, the room is locked, everyone is putting their hands together to ensure that shit does not hit our face.
Hmm.
And that comes with integrity.
Hmm.
Now, the question is, I always hire consultants not based on integrity. I don't care my consultant integrity is high or low. I don't care about their will. For me, when it comes to a consultant, my project is for 3 months. We give a project to a consultant and we tell them that these are the deliverables. Your skill matters a lot to me because I do not have the patience to create will or integrity.
And I really don't care about that part.
Absolutely.
The bar is integrity to skill. Today, an average person, an average manager or a leader, even in a corporate or a startup setup, is not trusting the employer, not trusting the management, not trusting the colleague below, not trusting his leader. No one is trusting anyone, is what I generally see. And it's not that they're bad people or they don't want to trust. Their guards are so high. One, they have low confidence because they are not confident enough, so their guards are so high. And that is not letting them grow. And this growth will be seen in a time of 3 to 4 years. It is not instant gratification. It's a lot of hard work one has to do. So do you even think this is the right battle to fight for the managers and leaders on for themselves? How should the middle layer, the employee layer, or the leader layer, or the manager layer look at this phenomena of trust, non-trust, EQ, IQ, TQ?
See, in my opinion, 1970s was the era of IQ, intelligence quotient. 1999, there was a new word called emotional quotient. 2025 is the era of TQ, trust quotient.
Trust quotient, very nice.
The thing is, emotional quotient is how you talk to people. While my emotional quotient is amazing, what happens is your trust quotient will only and only develop when shit hits the fan. The whole idea is the more we are getting social, the higher we are getting away from emotional interactions. That is why today the value of trust is becoming extremely high. When Oyo wanted to buy us out, we had a very deep due diligence on me as a founder. Now, my reputation makes a lot of. So, it's very simple. In the world of stock market, companies which have higher corporate governance or at least higher perceived trust, they are traded at 1.7x of share price of companies that don't. Everyone who's pulling someone into their circle is scared that tomorrow, if he becomes or she becomes as powerful that and I am, what will they do with me? Will they displace? People have very high insecurity.
Why? Why? This is the next question. Why? When everyone is saying just focus on your job and whatever the job you are doing and just grow this and you will anyways reach somewhere. Why do people have insecurity?
Because resources of corporations have consistently been going down.
But smart, I think we should have confidence on
No, but I'll tell you. Typically, number of jobs. Now, let's take an example of Reliance. People who have been chucked out, they have no job right now. Just imagine being in, and I always tell people to think like this, that you are doing your work and you get an email that you're fired. It's a horrible feeling. And that is the reason that in this world which is so insecure, see, countries are insecure. No one is able to predict a war. No one is, and these are not like wars which were impending upon us. But the wars, if countries are insecure, how can markets are insecure? Volatility, our VIX index is one of the highest. Volatility is everywhere. And the only reason that we are humans and a monkey is a monkey is that we are insecure. Insecurity leads to growth.
or
Because
to disaster.
or to disaster, but insecurity is actually great because you start preparation. So, in my opinion, insecurity is not bad, but the thing is
Followed by introspection.
followed by introspection and then followed by action and then followed by learning.
So insecurity to introspection
To action,
to learning.
then
This is how the one should think. How much importance will you give to people management, social interactions, new age skills, right? Soft skills, communication, body language. 10 years down the line, will this outweigh any kind of hard skill, or it will be equivalent, or it will not matter? How do you look at this?
if you do not have good social skills, there are very less chances that people are going to work with. I used to think by 2045, we are going to have a huge AI crisis in terms of actually not having jobs. In my opinion, that is getting constrained to 2032.
You're saying next 7
In the
years.
next 7 to 8 years, we are going to see jobs, and this is very interesting. By 2028, United Nations, 80 crore jobs are going to just vanish. 80 crore jobs. That's a huge number. And 40 crore new jobs are going to come.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, education is 20 years behind. जो हम आज पढ़ रहे हैं, उसकी हमें, क्योंकि हम लोग आज जो पढ़ रहे हैं, हम लोग वर्कफोर्स में उसके बाद में जाएँगे। तो पहले ही हम लोग 5 से 10 साल पीछे होते हैं। उसके बाद हमारा जो करिकुलम है वो बहुत ज़्यादा पुराना है, वो और 10 साल, तो हम 20 साल वैसे ही करिकुलम से पीछे चल रहे हैं। आज हमें पढ़ना चाहिए 2040 में क्या होने वाला है। सो एट द फर्स्ट टच पॉइंट, दीज़ आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। If you're meeting someone for the first time and you appear as a jackass, there's a very high chance that you will not be able to make a lemonade of the opportunity. But the second time, you will be dependent on your results. I know phenomenally horrible people who treat people like junk, but they still build large companies because they produce results. They create attention.
But maybe right or wrong doesn't matter, right? There's no right or
Well, there's no right or wrong, but for that you need to be a genius.
Yeah.
For a person like me who's extremely average IQ, I I always tell people I am the least skilled person in the office. I cannot afford to mess around with people. My only skill is people. If people don't work with me, I'm zero. 90% of the people in the world have median average IQ. If they don't work along with people, they will fail. There are very few people in the world, and I know, we know common people who are horrible leaders. They will shout at you, they will make your life hell, toxic environment, but still they are able to produce results for their company because they're those 10% extreme non-standard deviation and founders who are who literally do things by just sheer brute force. And that's absolutely all right. To each one his own. But 90% of people, if you do not have good social skills, there are very less chances that people are going to work with you.
and follow you as a leader.
Absolutely. And lastly, when people come to me and they say, "Nahi yaar, why do we care about learning?" Learning after trust is the, and I call this the LQ, the learning quotient. Ability to empower wealth is your ability to read, learn, and implement. If you are not, and I'm telling you, going forward, we are not going to have conventional universities. We are going to have these programs like the one that Inc 42 is launched, the Management X. You are going to be surprised the number of people who will need this program, because unfortunately, conventional brick and mortar universities are not teaching things which are relevant for the next 20 years. And people who are in the industry, corporations, example, a media house, which is seeing what is happening, is in touch with so many practitioners. They can actually create courses, and these are short courses. These are courses which you can do with your job. But the moment you do that,
The delta in
the idea is simple. Your learning will define your earning. It's so simple. It's the first principle.
when we talk about, and since we are doing management X, which is about the journey of IC to a manager to a leader, what is that 20% difference in traits, skills, quality, etc.?
The first difference is ambition.
IC to manager.
At every layer. The first difference of any human, the only difference between two humans is ambition. Ambition is a precursor. If you don't have ambition, no. Unfortunately, if someone is so happy being an IC, they don't have an ambition, they cannot work for being a manager. The challenge is for being an IC, is the coolest thing on the planet because you are in control.
Yeah.
When you are in control, what happens is that you are not dependent on anyone to create results. And that is a very different high.
Yeah.
Because immediate gratification happens. You work, you get results. You work, you get results.
No collaborations, nothing.
And when humans collaborate, politics happens. Negativity happens.
Very variable changes.
Now, the thing is,
but if the guy is happy and he's the IC, he or she is the IC, and they are happy, then great. The challenge is they are not happy, but they don't know if they want to become a manager.
See, overall, no, in my opinion, everyone is ambitious. The challenge is an IC. Unfortunately, if you're an IC
Sure.
and you want to be you want to be rich, you want to be famous, you want to be extremely wealthy, there are very few professions in the world that you can. Investing is one.
Sure.
As an IC, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is an individual contributor. He does not have a proper fund structure, but he has created huge wealth. He takes smaller decisions, invests 100 to 200 CR, makes a 10x and an individual contributor, and amassed large amount of wealth.
Right.
There are ICs like in OpenAI, the gentleman who's working and coding for AI is phenomenal. He will be paid amazing,
Right.
but 90% of ICs in the world will be average because you are paid according to the complexity that you solve.
Sure.
A lot of people ask me that if hardworking is important, then a housekeeper should be paid more than Ritesh Malik.
Agree.
Its outcome is always disproportionate. Outcome is all about what complexity are you solving, and are you solving things which are unknown to most of the people. A stock trader earns 10x of that of a doctor by working 1/5 of the time, taking way lesser pain as a doctor and not amassing so much education. Now, how do you? World is unfair, and unfair advantage is another word I love. You get unfair advantage by creating extreme sense of ownership first for your work. A manager can never. So this is also very interesting. A manager can never not be a great IC.
Hmm.
This is also in the retrospect. No,
Hmm.
this cannot be. An IC cannot be a great manager. This
But a manager
because,
has to be a great IC.
because first you have to be empathetic to your team members.
Hmm.
Now, from a manager's standpoint, it is all dependent on systems design. How do people come? What do they do? Where do they work? How do they get motivated? What kind of activities can I do to ensure that they feel better about their work environment and they create output? How do I create delegation structures? Majority managers fail at delegation because they cannot leave their IC.
The FOMO is very high.
FOMO is very high, plus IC is easy.
Hmm.
IC is so easy, and I'll tell you, I was an individual contributor. I realized in my work, I realized my personal work, I was amazing. And delegation, I sucked at delegation because I used to fear that this person will not be able to do work as well as mine. And then I realized if the person does 90% of my work as good as mine, and those 100 people can do my work, oh my God, the kind of skill is very different. If you want to be a manager, you have to create beautiful systems designs. You have to create it dialogue structures. So how I, at least in our organization, for all our managers, we have a thesis of doing three things. The first one is create structures for your teams, be in touch with them, do scrum meetings, ensure dialogue, be close to the customer, and lastly, spend at least 20% of your time in training of your team members and 10% of your time in training of yourself. If you are able to do that, produce results. Output is everything. In a corporation, it's a totally capitalistic structure. Do nepotism, in my opinion, does not work. I just believe that nepotism long term will not work. If I do not have the trust in a person, whoever he or she might be, corporations are capitalistic, they are going to fire. Nepotism can work in things like the government where ownership is not that high. But in corporations, nepotism, finally you have to produce results. As a manager, add value, produce results, get revenue, make profits. If you are able to do that, make the company so dependent on you that the company has to escalate you. The byproduct is escalation. The focus is increasing the goals of the company.
So, what do you think about difference between a manager and a leader? What is the difference which makes a manager a leader?
A manager ensures that trains run on the track on time. A leader goes to the Himalayas and lays down those tracks for the first time in areas where he does not know whether there'll be a snake or a tiger. And both are very different. Leaders are long term thinkers.
Hmm.
Leaders define policy, leaders create institutional frameworks, building institutions. See, India today does not work because of the government.
Hmm.
It works because of the institutions that we have. Institutional frameworks will increase longevity of anything in the world. Today, we say that companies shut down very quickly. Countries also will shut down very quickly. The countries that we see today are all new countries. India is a new country. India was never India. We were a very, very large mass of Southeast Asian, borderless, 7 countries combined together.
Hmm.
Tomorrow, there is a chance that we might become a different country. The thing is, longevity, if you want to increase longevity of anything, create institutional frameworks. And that is the job of a leader. A leader's job is to A, predict what is going to happen in the future. Leader's job is to see where, who can eat my cheese. There's a beautiful book, Who Ate My Cheese? Who will come and eat your revenue? In 1982, Fortune list 500 largest companies. Only 31 are there today. Where did those 469 companies go? They did not predict what will happen in the future. And companies need to change, take large bets. Something very beautiful which Mark Zuckerberg said in their last earnings, and that was that a shareholder asked that you are investing a lot of money on AI. Don't you think it is risky? He said the biggest risk is not investing money in AI. I would rather fail by investing money in AI than not invest any money and then fail. I'm going to doom. I need to ensure we take large, bold risks. And that sizing has to be done by the leader.
Hmm.
Those are bold bets. And leader ka, my thesis is 25 to 30% of the leader's time needs to go to sharpening the luck razor.
Luck razor.
Luck razor is increasing your luck surface area.
Interesting.
Why are few people lucky and few people unlucky? It's very simple. Luck is a science. I always tell people, while you need a lot of luck to be successful, but luck is a science according to me. Luck is defined by whenever there are luck razor states, whenever there are two options, do the one that has the chances of giving you larger luck.
What about sacrifices as a word? Do you think every leadership position in an organization, in your life, comes with its pros and cons and sacrifices? So, how do you look at sacrifices as a word and relate it with a manager and a leader?
Humans do not sacrifice for nothing. It's very simple. We are so focused on our own happiness that we will not sacrifice for anything. We start finding joy in that sacrifice. And for other people, it looks sacrifice
Hmm.
because they have not found that joy yet. So, my take to everyone is there's no sacrifice in the world. You only sacrifice once and then it's addiction. So, to everyone, I tell them do things which are नॉन कन्वेंशनल. एक हिंदी में कहावत है, भीड़ को कभी भी फॉलो मत करो. भीड़ साहस तो देती है लेकिन पहचान छोड़ देती है.
Very interesting.
आज हमारे देश में वी हैव सो मेनी डॉक्टर्स. वी हैव ओनली 4 डॉक्टर टर्न्ड टेक एंटरप्रेन्योर्स. And that decision to leave medicine, my success is not contributed by my ability to work, but my success is contributed by that decision to take a path which is different. In your college, how many people from your background, from your village, would start a media tech company? Zero. That is the difference.
And it may have gone completely wrong. But that decision,
मेरा तो ये मानना है, nothing goes wrong. If you, I'm a firm believer, fall off the cliff and you develop wings on the way. I'm a firm believer of the fact that when you take an unconventional path, no, you have so much pressure from the society, you have so much pressure from your own self that you start actually developing wings. You put yourself in uncomfortable zones. Most of the people are scared of leaving their comfort zones.
Another interesting, phenomena we are seeing in general. Uh, every manager, every leader has this FOMO of wanting to do everything in an organization, which is nothing wrong. If the first thing you have done has been, implemented successfully, you have handed it over to someone. There's a system designed for that. But every 6 months, whenever they see the new shiny object, which is the new project or the new product, they want to jump onto that. But if you keep jumping on, or at given one day, you will be doing 100 things and not even a one thing with depth, right? How do you look at this? How should one eliminate things? Should one eliminate things? And when should they jump from one point to another?
Do you know why people jump is escapism is very, very common in India. We escape hard situations. We don't do hard things. As Indians, the first thing that we are told by our parents is, जैसी लगे ना डर भाग जाओ. The thing is, unfortunately, we do not, we love to jump because the moment you start something, you have this peak excitement that, wow, this looks cool. The moment you start spending time, you feel, oh my God, this is complex. I don't like it.
And no instant results.
The moment you don't get instant gratification, you shift to the next shiny object. The idea is you need to commit to something, and commitment is all about elimination and focus. I'm a deep, deep propagator of focus. Uh, I have I have learned this the hard way. Do extremely less number of things, but go so deep. ये पानी की भी खासियत है. Wells, usually जो ये कुएं होते हैं, the एक कुआं आप अगर 100 मीटर तक खोद दो, आपको बहुत शीतल और ठंडा पानी आता है. A lot of people, what they do is they take 10 wells and go only till 5 to 6 meters. And वो सब कीचड़ and गंदा पानी आता है वहाँ. 10 कुएं खोदने में बहुत टाइम लगता है. एक कुआं खोदने में कम टाइम लगता है. The idea is focus on one thing and be so good at it that people start saluting you.
That boring grunt work. People run away from that.
And the idea is 90% of the work is boring. You need to do the boring stuff. You need to do things which, and you need to put in the hard work. People do not want to put in the hard work. Okay, the biggest challenge is people want to focus on the byproducts. And this is a societal challenge. Our byproduct is कि class में first आना है. You today also you ask someone in third class and you ask them, what do you want to do this year? Class में first आना है. That's the most stupid answer. You cannot predict कि आप class में कैसे first आ सकते हो. The only way to predict is do your things which are in your control. We are always focusing on things which are out of our control. I was speaking to a very big influencer in our country. I said, "Yaar, you have millions of followers. How do you do it?" And I said, the only reason is I don't care about that. My focus is I need to create value for every single person watching my reels. If I have value, followers is a byproduct. Follower is not, you will not get any following in the world until you are able to hook people. If you think the biggest brands in the world are a habit, today, why Ink 42 is becoming valuable? After 10 years of hard slog, Ink 42 has become a weekly habit. You will become even more valuable when you become a daily habit.
Yeah.
Build addiction for your work. My thesis is build your character so beautifully that people have an addiction to call you. That Ritesh, yaar, ye to hai na, you can only help me out. Build that level of trust with people. Build that level of, and everything is a service. Every relationship is a service. You have to add value. You cannot mooch off.
If you're an employee, you're a manager, or you're a middle layer manager, leader, or you're a senior leader, how do you keep on going for 5 years, 7 years, 8 years with patience that yes, wealth will be a byproduct, don't worry. If I do all the things which you just told, I will make wealth, I will make name, I will make fame, I will be known for something, and I will be respected in my company by my peers.
That actually, I give that credit to myself. I, as a leader, created institutional framework and created lists, booklets of my core team members. My only skill is to ensure I get the best people who have high integrity, extremely high build, work as much or even more higher than me to give their life for a mission. People love missions.
The sense of belonging,
Pride,
purpose.
belonging. People don't work for money actually. Very few people work for money. Genuinely, people work for a purpose. And I realized one thing, that the highest, the Maslow's hierarchy of building purpose is the most difficult thing to create for a leader. And that will come when you have one mission. And secondly, see what is that one thing that you can give to your manager that no one else on the planet can give except of money. I have seen one thing, people live up to their roles if you believe in them actually. And then obviously there's a lot of coaching, but today I can tell you there are so many co-working companies trying. There are, you'll be amazed, almost every co-working chain in India tried to poach my top 7 leaders. Everyone. And I can guarantee you, I've got emails I've seen. I'm so grateful no one left. And the single point focus was they missed at one thing. They were offering them 5x, 6x of the salaries. They didn't know that they wanted the post. Everyone is longing for the post. People will compromise. The question is, write down things which you can give to your team members, which no one else can except of money.
This is a very interesting point. Indian SMBs had this culture of family, right? Your family, and we'll take care of everything for you. You might get paid less, but then we cover up in various other ways. And then we are there with you in your bad times. And then came the extreme opposite, professionalism, transactional. We really don't care if you are sick. The work has to be done today, so the work has to be done today, right? And I think your style and some founders I see, and I would want to put ours, myself as an ink 42 in that. Is there a middle path where you're saying, no, of course you're not family. We are responsible to someone. Everyone is responsible to someone. But at the same time, we are not transactional. Literally, like how do you think the future looks like? Is it transactional?
I think it can never be truly family.
Yeah.
It's very clear that we are all working, including myself. I have to look up and I have to work so that my team members get a huge exit.
Yeah.
I am liable for their lives, right? Second, if we do not provide value, we will not be able to create a culture of purpose driven leadership, right? Until and unless we have purpose driven leadership, people will not, because people, unfortunately, it's very interesting, people actually don't work for money. You will be shocked. People work in cultures which are so cool, they for higher salaries go somewhere and they come back.
They come back.
And that's happened with Info.
Yeah.
So many times. Why do they do that? This is a non-natural traction. Like, why would someone leave their good salaries and come back to a place which where work is more and salaries are less? It's not about family alone. It is about purpose. It's about cohesion and it's about freedom. Controlled freedom is the future of the world. People are going to work in environments where they can express themselves, because anything which is a strict structure, good talent is going to be away from strict structures. That is why entrepreneurs are unhireable. Entrepreneurs hate, you tell me to work in I will be the worst employee on the planet. Trust me, I cannot be an employee because वो घुटन होने लग जाती है. We are we seek independence. We seek freedom to express. We see, and in corporations where you can institutionalize that. As a leader, that's our goal. We institutionalize care. We institutionalize what happens when someone's baby is born. We institutionalize messaging, personalization, gifting, network management. And that is the job of a leader. Leader's core job is to ensure that networks are built, institutional frameworks are built, and output is delivered for shareholders and all the stakeholders.
Very interesting. Another phenomenon just building upon that. And I personally feel it's a challenge. A great founder, let's say you or anyone else, really passionate. They are able to build an amazing L1 layer. And then you spend hypothetically 50% of your daily time coaching that person, which I'm sure you did, right? That's why they reached where they reached. Now the challenge comes when this L1 layers guy or girl brings someone else. They do not transfer the same passion and do not create a L2 layer and seeing the transition not happening. Why will it hell will it happen? Like what's going on in this layer?
So, first principle wise, wrong hiring leads to almost $500 billion of wastage every single year in American corporate system alone. That's a huge number. CVs are the biggest fiction books in the world. Everyone lies on their CVs. The question is, how do you recognize true value? And the answer there is, if I am training someone in the L1 layer, I am responsible. What people do is they start blaming KR. I have trained you. Why can't you train other people?
Hmm.
SOPIs, everything.
Very interesting.
You did, and train your members on how to become great managers. And then you create checks and balances. You create audit systems, and you leave that one thing goes. The problem with corporate India is people do not solve for once. मैं audit है ना physically कर ही नहीं सकता सारे campuses में. After 17th campus, I've never stepped to an innovate. I don't even know वहाँ क्या चलता है. If I want to build a large empire, I need to create audit systems which are so strong, and managers don't do that. They cannot delegate, they cannot, because this is hard work. It takes a lot of hard work to build that SOP.
And do you think we don't want to invest time in our subordinates or our peers talking about our belief system because we have none? We want a vague opinion. We want to take a win from everyone, but we don't want to have strong opinions because what if it goes wrong? And because we are not investing that much time in our teams, they are just working like a 9 to 9 or a 9 to 5 rather than, becoming the future managers and future leaders.
See, you need to invest time in people. By the end of the day, 90% success, at least in my life, is people success. I realized I got into the Best YGL program because of people. Someone will nominate you. Someone is going to, and I don't even ask. And like, people are so grateful. They will just do, Kya Ritesh, tu wahan pe ja. And do you know the reason behind that? This is such an interesting one. People love people. ये जो कहावत है ना कि यार, if you don't ask, you don't get. That is actually bullshit. You need to know what to ask, from whom to ask, when to ask, and because of this, now I'll tell you, someone in my team came to me and he said that I want 10% of the equity. And I said, dude, like, how did you get with this idea? He said, if I don't ask, I will not get. I said, that's wrong. You don't ask. You deserve and you get. Because if my dependence on you is so high, I will not give you 10, I will give you 20%, or
You
you
do
not
not
even
even have to ask.
you don't have to ask, because I will be worried that what if someone else values you. So my belief is deserve, and then go and have a dialogue. Have a structured dialogue that, see, this is what I expect, but I'm flexible. I will leave it up to your leadership, but this is what I have put in. This is what I'm getting out.
So instead of ask and get, deserve and dialogue. Why do people run away from introspection?
It's hard. See, choose the hard. It's very simple. Choose the hard. Your luck will come when you choose the hard. I'll give you an example. Would you want to go out and have drinks with your friends, or you would want to sit by yourself in your room without your phone and write your thoughts? No one would like to write their thoughts. They would love to go out, hang out. The thing is, introspection can never come in this digital distraction world. Introspection will come when you spend time with yourself, when you ensure that you write down your thoughts, because there is a lot of jargon in our minds. They get absolutely clear when you start writing.
I think so. When people introspect and write things, then comes the second challenge. They have to face the reality, which they were procrastinating from a long time. And now they have to answer that because no one is looking. It's only you. And that's a very hard conversation for one to do with himself or herself. And rather, they would procrastinate and think about luck, magic, hope, God, rather than face the reality and build a path. Do you agree, disagree? What do you think?
100%. See, if you ask me today, as a human, I know my flaws. I know these are the areas that I really need to change. What we do is, the moment we accept those flaws, And we, as humans, we are very weak. Mentally, we have become so weak that we want to actually, the moment we know our flaws, we tend to repeat our flaws. We don't want to confront it every day. We don't want to, because we are looking for cheap dopamine. And cheap dopamine is scrolling. Cheap dopamine is going away from reality. People who stay in reality make magic. And that is where, that is why discipline is very important. I I judge a person by the habits that the person is keeping. Habits will define you, and it's very easy to say, I'm struggling with my habits. Now, my habit can be health,
Yeah.
but it is the biggest thing that you have as it's the biggest wealth. The idea is, change your habits, you change your life. Motivation is short lived. Discipline is the only thing that will help you sustain.
What role ethics and moral will play in next 10 years? Because see, everything will be tech, right? Everyone will be a tech company. Every leader will be working in a tech company, and tech will not be the edge. It will not be the leverage. So the future leaders or the future managers or the future workforce, what will ethics and moral play as a role?
Future of the world is containing your perception, and it will become so important if you start pissing off people. Until and unless you are an Elon Musk, you should really be careful of your reputation. Reputation will be a, I think it will play 50% of your growth will be reputation. 50% of your growth will be your ability to create output results. See, without, and I always tell them, integrity without will is just stupidity, because you can't do anything about it. I have a friend of mine who's so nice, so bloody honest, but what do I do with him? He's great friend, but I can't work with him because he cannot produce results. People with integrity and who can commit and produce results are rare. The moment I find them, either I partner with them or I invest in them. That's my thesis. That be a person of character with deep sense of purpose in your work. You need to drive results. See, we are all paid by our ability to create disproportionate results for our stakeholders. Stakeholders are not only shareholders. Stakeholder is the environment. It is everything around us.
Employee mindset versus leadership mindset. So what do you think?
I think employee mindset is the dinosaur mindset, which is bound to go away.
Even in today's age,
Even if today you cannot be an employee, you cannot be a 9 to 5 worker.
though you are working somewhere.
Yeah, you are working, but you cannot. You have to take ownership. Ownership is not defined whether you have equity or not. The day you start working somewhere, consider you have the equity, because your reputation is dependent on the work that you produce. When you go to your next employer, they will check with the earlier employee
Or how network.
or in your network.
Network are so close.
So, A, employee mindset is extincted. It will not work. You have to have an entrepreneurial mindset, leadership mindset, learning. You need to improve your, not only your intelligence quotient, your emotional quotient, more than that, your sustained trust quotient and learning quotient. Every day invest. And I have a rule, invest 2.5% of your income every single year in learning programs. That's my thesis, that this is the minimum that you should do up till 7.5%. You cannot just uh, rely on your university. Your universities are good for nothing.
So 2.5% to 7.5% of one's annual income should go in learning programs of various kinds, whatever the percentage is.
And that will compound at 150 to 200% annually. I can guarantee you that. You have to unlearn the employee mindset. Employee mindset is a negative mindset. It is a mindset that I will do whatever has been. So employee mindset is, I need to do the bare minimum to sustain, and then do everything to create politics, negativity, and be in the ecosystem. That is not the right mindset. The right mindset is ownership mindset. The right mindset is creating change. The right mindset is to ensure that you create work that people start clapping. Wow, that is how work is done. And I'll tell you, when we did, like, example with Inc. 42, you do not have to do such well-designed programs. Why do you do that? This is a culture. This is a thought process. Now, what happens is, when you do that, all the people who appreciate design, they will automatically, you become a magnet. My thesis is, create products where you get wow. Like you did the D2C at Shimla.
Yeah.
People said, wow. I've been getting like messages that, dude, ये हो क्या गया? People are getting FOMO that, oh my God, or why didn't you take us? When you do something with magic and that level of authenticity, without thinking कि यार हम पैसा कमाएंगे नहीं कमाएंगे, do magic. And magic ना हमेशा reward हो.
every day, every single day.
In whatever you do.
So let's say Delhi has most number of listed profitable startups versus Bangalore, right? And it's a Delhi versus Bangalore forever debate, and I'm not going into it, but this is data, right? Data says Delhi has the most number of listed profitable startups versus Bangalore, which has most number of unprofitable private unicorn startups. Is there actually a difference in leadership styles and mentality of two cities, and hence the people operating in that?
It is actually inherited in our genes. As Delhi, we have always been conquered. So my first reaction of my father, the moment there is panic, is let's fight. My grandmother, the moment there is panic, is we have to fight.
Survive and fight.
Now, I went to South India. I was there in a village for 5.5 years. There, the first reaction is because they've never been conquered. They had sea everywhere. So their first reaction is dialogue. Let's talk about it. Now, the moment there is stress, we fight, we become profitable in Delhi. In Bangalore, the moment there is stress, the ambience is way more calmer and they would rather do a dialogue, create a larger plan. In Delhi, we will do quick firing, panic firing. And in Bangalore, we will create a structure around it.
So the hottest topic of the 21st, 22nd century, whatever era we are in, work-life balance. And especially the 20s, people from 22 to 28 or 22 to 30, thinking about work-life balance on a day-to-day basis. Right, wrong, not right, not wrong, I don't know.
So when you start your career, you have no work-life balance and should not. You should say yes to every damn opportunity in the world. I'm meeting so many students. Oh my God, they are selective of opportunities. They would rather sit at home, play SimCity 5 and say that no, I cannot do this job because I'm not able to attach myself to this. I said, how do you know until you get exposed? For me, work-life balance till 28 is stupid. Say yes to everything. Slog through it. I said yes to Gangaram Hospital surgeries. I said yes to every single Tom, Dick, Harry thing coming at me because that is important. The moment you say yes, you know what you're not liking. If I would have never seen the surgery, I would have not realized that, dude, this is not my passion.
In process of elimination.
Absolutely. And you cannot eliminate something that you don't understand. Elimination is something which is known to you. The second is when you become successful, you start becoming very picky and choosy. Then work-life balance, I have very different views about work-life balance. I believe that if you're not enjoying life, then there's no work. Do you know what is the purpose of work? Why have we created a capitalist society? Actually, we did not have to work if all of us created a society where everyone was equal. Equity distribution was the core thesis. The challenge why we have created this world is because work is important for our mental safety. You stop working for 2 months, you will get depressed. Work is important for our expression and our purpose. Until and unless you go out of your home, start building your work. We are all artists as humans. We have a lot of energy. We are creating an art. Every time an Ink 42 newsletter goes, Vaibhav, Pooja and Utkarsh as an artist come around. Pooja's beautiful articulation, Utkarsh's beautiful design, Vaibhav's thinking about it. And also a lot of founders I know having horrible marital lives, going through mental shit like anything, and then commenting about work-life balance and no, this should be there and all. There's no work without creating proper structures with your family because that keeps you rooted.
Done. And we can wrap up on that note to very happily. So thank you.
तो बहुत ही प्राइम मिनिस्टर टाइप को मैं पहली बार शेक हैंड किया शेक